Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2005. It's a Buick Park Avenue. A lot of the cars are all very similar to this. Today we're just going to be changing the drive belt. What you want to do is, if you take a look down inside, you want to take a look and see how the drive belt is actually routed around. A lot of times you can take a look under the hood and you may find a diagram of how the belt is actually routed around through, like the water pump, the alternator, and the tensioner. You may think that you're going to remember it, but once you take the belt off, it's going to be a little confusing putting it on. So if you don't have that diagram, or you can print off a diagram off the computer like this one, then you can pretty much just take a picture of it with your phone. If you don't have a phone, you can just draw it out with a pencil and paper so you know how to put it back on when that time comes. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You can just, do it on a piece of paper so you know where it goes around the crankshaft, the water pump, the idler pulley, and that way you can put it back on when that time comes without being confused. Because if you don't route it exactly right, you'll put the belt on and it'll be a little bit too long or a little bit too short depending on which route you're taking. So look for the diagram before you take it apart. It'll save you a little bit of a headache later on down the road. Just get into a little ratchet, and basically just take the ratchet, put it onto the tensioner, and just release the tension on the tensioner. Fairly simple. You just pull up on it. It gives you a little bit of tension. You pull your fan belt off of one item and just slowly release your tensioner back down to the resting position. Take the ratchet off, and then you just remove your fan belt off the car. It's pretty simple. Sorry about the light moving. That's it. Fairly simple. Once you've got it off the car, we're just going to reroute the other one and we'll put it back on, so I'll show you that step in a moment. Okay, once you got your replacement belt, you're going to lay it back in there according to your schematic of how the belt goes on there, and then the last piece we're going to put on is going to be the tensioner right up on top here. So let me show you how that's done. One problem you're going to run into is not a problem, but it's a little bit of an inconvenience, is the fan belt itself. When you get it, they're usually all jumbled up, so it's a little bit difficult. It winds up going in the wrong direction from the way you want it. So let me show you how to get it in there, and I'll show you how it goes. First thing you want to do before you put the belt back on, always make sure that the belt that the parts store gave you is the correct one. A lot of times they'll give you the wrong belt, so always make sure yourself it's the right one instead of trying to put it on and you find out it don't fit. Just match the one belt against the other, and as you can see, this is the correct belt. Alright, first thing you're going to do is you're going to lay your belt in there. You're going to get it onto the lowest part of the pulley, or the lowest pulley that you can get onto, which is the crankshaft. So you lay the belt in there and put it onto that pulley. show you real quick. Once you've got your belt laid in there, you put everything back down the way it's supposed to be. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to pry that tensioner down so we can slide the belt up onto the top of it. So let me do that, and I'll show you how that goes. Get your socket onto the pulley. Give it a little bit of a pull to release the And once you have it in position where it's back on, always make sure that your belt is in the groove exactly as it belongs. Down on the power steering pump, you'll see it's in the groove correctly there. It's around the water pump. Look down at the air conditioner. Make sure that it's on in the air conditioner. And the lower crankshaft is correct. Now let me show you a problem that sometimes you'll see. I put this on just to give you an example of how this happens sometimes. You see on the lower pulley down here, you think your fan belt is on correctly, but as you can see, it's slightly off the groove. And you'll see that a lot of times where people put a belt on and it chews the belt up relatively quickly. So basically what you're going to do is just put your ratchet back on to your pulley, give it a slight pull, and just slide your belt right into the groove where it belongs. See? And as you can see, it's exactly where it belongs. So before you start it, always make sure your pulley and your belts line up exactly as they're supposed to. That's it. Fairly simple if you follow these steps and just take your time. Again, if you don't see a schematic underneath the hood any place, a lot of times you'll see it up on the hood here. You'll see it on the radiator support or somewhere on the strut tower. You don't see it, just draw a little schematic out. It doesn't have to be elaborate, anything, just so you know where that belt goes back onto. Okay, once you have your fan belt on and everything looks good, you're going to go inside the car, start it up for just a moment, let it run, and shut it off. And we're going to check it one more time just to make sure that everything is correct. Turn it up. And then just to confirm that your belt is exactly as it belongs, just take a look at the pulleys and make sure everything lines up correctly. And that's it.